the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
After some recent big NFL news, Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears now have a big opportunity to take this football team to the next level. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. So Bears fans, first and foremost, happy Friday to every single one of you guys. We actually have some big breaking news, not only for the Chicago Bears, but the entirety of the National Football League. But before we get forward with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I do want to announce today's very special guest. He is the host of Bears Yard and is my boy Vipe. How you doing, Vipe?
Yo, Keek, we back on the mic, bro. How you doing, man? I appreciate you having me on the channel. And yeah, we got to talk about this Micah Parsons stuff for sure.
Yeah, I really appreciate you. You are a young and upcoming Bears content creator. I definitely love your grind. Definitely posted some great content out there. So I appreciate your quick response when I reached out to you.
I appreciate you thinking about me, man. Let's go.
Yeah, so obviously, as we know, there's some big breaking news in regard to the Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons. He has officially requested a trade out of Dallas, and he actually said, quote unquote, I no longer want to be a Dallas Cowboy. So what is your first reaction to when you hear that news?
We knew it was coming. We knew it was coming all season because there have been rumblings and things put out there about how Jerry Jones, for whatever reason, refused to negotiate or talk to Micah Parsons' agent. Yeah. And for those of y'all that don't know, Micah Parsons' agent is David Mogetta. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Who happens to be the agent for Justin Fields. So I know we know him firsthand here in Chicago. But the dude is about business, okay? You're not doing anything with any of his players without his say-so, without his consent, without his approval. And his players get paid big money. I would compare Mogetta to Drew Rosenhaus. These are big money agents. So you're not going to mess around with their players without them having some input. So when we found out that Jerry Jones, for whatever reason, he did not want to negotiate or talk to Mogetta, it was the writing was on the wall at that point, Keith. Micah Parsons wasn't having none of that. Obviously, the agents having none of that. And here we are today. Micah Parsons has formally requested a trade from the Cowboys.
Yeah, and that's where the situation gets interesting because usually players will do this, request a trade to kind of gain leverage on landing that big contract. But this just feels different because it seems that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys are now kind of behind the game because he has not talked to Micah Parsons' agent, not once, right? So now it seems that relationship is kind of severed at this point. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get that relationship back with Micah Parsons. So it seems at this point, the best case scenario is that the Dallas Cowboys will have to look for a trade partner for Parsons. They did already come out and said, hey, we have no intentions on trading Micah Parsons. But if that's the case, you need to allow Micah Parsons' agent to talk with you to try to get you one of the best players in the National Football League and definitely your best player on your roster paid.
You know what this tells me, because it's not like the Dallas Cowboys are averse to paying people. They just signed Dak to a $60 million a year contract for 4 years. They just paid CeeDee Lamb. So clearly they are not averse to paying people. And these were big money contracts, obviously. But Michael Parsons is looking to reset the linebacker defensive end market. He's looking for at least $40 million a year plus. And I kind of feel like if they really wanted to pay him, Keith, they would have paid him. They would have, or at the very minimum, they would have negotiated with him by now. I don't think they want to pay him, but now they're talking about how they're not going to trade him. So what are you going to do? Let him sit there? Like a lot of times with players, you know, when you have these holdouts and different things like that, they're just looking for money, right? But I kind of believe that Micah Parsons is about more than the money. I mean, the man has money, obviously, but I feel like he's one of the more principled players in the league. And what I mean by that is I don't think he's going to want to come back to the table with Dallas because they negotiated or lack of negotiated in such bad faith up to this point. But because I think he's done. I don't think there's anything that Dallas can do at this point to bring him back to the table, short of paying him like $45 million a year, of course. But I feel like he's not going to show back up there until they trade him.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm saying. You know, usually players use this as leverage, but I think he is serious. He is done with the Dallas Cowboys. He is no longer one to play for Jerry Jones or that organization. And it's really just crazy. You know, he's only 26 years old. And in 4 years with the Cowboys, you're talking about 4 Pro Bowls, 3 all pros, right? Defensive rookie of the year. 52.5 sacks, 9 forced fumbles, and 4 fumble recoveries. So now that leads me to the main point of today's episode of Keek on the Mic. should Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears actually be reaching out to Dallas about Micah Parsons? It reminds me a lot of 2018, where we had the new hotshot head coach, offensive-minded Matt Nagy. We had Mitch Trubisky right on his rookie contract. Now you're thinking about years later, and it seems like the Chicago Bears, it's like history was repeating itself. So what is your personal opinion before I give mine? I know I've been on record before saying that I think it could possibly make sense, but obviously there's layers to this.
Yeah, so for those of us that watch Hard Knocks, which are pretty much everybody watching this channel, I'm guessing watched Hard Knocks last year, we know that Ryan Poles almost traded for Matthew Judon,
right?
But that kind of fell through, right? So it's clear that Ryan Poles is looking for that edge rush help besides Montez Sweat. Right. Now you have Micah Parsons right there, sitting out there like a carrot dangling right there in front of you. So at the very minimum, Ryan Poles has to make a phone call.
Right. Now,
Dallas has already said that they're not entertaining any phone calls.
Right.
But we all know that sometimes if the offer is too good to pass up, then Dallas will, at the very minimum, consider it. But now we get to how much will it cost to acquire Micah Parsons. So if we go back to that Khalil Mack trade, I think they had to give up like 2 first-rounders and a second-rounder and something like that. I don't remember the detail, but it was a massive haul that the Raiders got for Khalil Mack when we traded for him. So it's not going to be cheap. Micah Parsons is the best young defensive player in the NFL. Right. So any trade that is considered for him is going to cost the Bears a lot of money. Right. And I know a lot of people feel like, you know what? Ryan Poles has talked about building through the draft, and trading for Micah Parsons would kind of damage that building through the draft. But on the other hand, because, you know, I can look at that from both sides. On the other hand, you got Caleb Williams. All the big pieces on his team are under contract, at least till his rookie contract is over with, because the Bears strategically did that. So they are in a window where they could potentially consider this. You know, even though they will lose a lot of draft capital and obviously have to pay him, because Keek, it's not just about trading for him, then you have to pay him. So they've already got $27 million a year wrapped up in Montez Sweat. Grady Jarrett got a nice contract. Dayo Odangbo got a nice contract, along with Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson. So that's a lot of money that will be tied up in the defensive side of the ball. But the Bears have a lot of young talent on offense as well. So it kind of they can do it. Should they do it? I don't know, man. That's a tough question. I've heard people talk about this on the national outlets and different things like that. And their thing is you have to be absolutely sure that Caleb Williams is the franchise quarterback that you believe that he is if you want to make a move like this. I think he is. Yeah. I believe the Bears believe he is.
Yeah.
But will they be willing to make a trade like this? I think I'll put it to you like this before I go back to you.
Yeah.
The Bears had a chance, in my opinion, to trade up for Ashton Jeanty in the NFL draft, which I feel like they should have done. They didn't do it.
Okay.
If they didn't trade up for Ashton Jeanty, which wouldn't cost nearly as much as this trade could potentially cost, I don't see Ryan Poles doing it. I don't. Okay. I think he's a little bit more patient than that. But you know, desperate times call for different measures, and the Chicago Bears right now are in a Super Bowl window, and Micah Parsons puts you all the way over the top. So I don't know.
Yeah, hey, some good insight by you, Mike. Thank you so much for all that. There's a couple of different thoughts here. My first thought is that there's actually been some rumors saying that originally when the Bears were looking for a trade for an edge rusher before Montez Sweat, they actually reached out to the Dallas Cowboys for Micah Parsons. They said, no, I can't, confirm or deny if that's true or not, but that's the rumor going around. Second of all, we're talking about the Super Bowl window, right? And it makes me wonder, like, obviously the Bears believe in Caleb Williams. They believe in Ben Johnson. That's why they brought him here to Chicago to get us, hopefully to create that dynasty. But there's a couple of moves to me from Ryan Poles this offseason that signals that they are ready to win now. Joe Thuney, right? Yeah. Trading for Joe Thuney, which is a aging veteran. He's still playing at his peak. And then they extended him 3 years, right? A couple of years. Then you go out and get Grady Jarrett, another aging veteran that's still going to produce on and off the field, but he is aging. Those guys are not going to be here long term. They're in a 3-year window. So when you think about that, right, those little moves, this move starts to make a little bit more sense. Yes, I understand that's going to cost multiple first-round picks. You're going to pay them all that money. But here's the thing that I always think about. You're only as good as your pass rush. The Chicago Bears, even with Dayo Odangbo, are still looking for one more edge rusher. Not only that, if you're giving up multiple first-round picks, who is going to be better than Micah Parsons in round one and in regards to edge rushers in the next couple of NFL drafts? That's another thing that you have to look at. I understand it's a lot of money. I understand we're getting a whole lot of draft capital, but Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears have done really good over the last couple of years at adding talent at premium positions that allow them to make a move like this. The cornerback position, you got Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon, right? There's a couple other positions. The quarterback, Caleb Williams. Wide receiver, you have Roma Dunze and Luther Burden. Those all can be considered premium positions. So the Chicago Bears are in a position, to me, that if they really want to, they can go out and make this move. And like you said, this would push them past the Super Bowl window. It would not only allow them to possibly win now. Micah Parsons is only 26 years old. He is about to be in the thick of his prime. So this is also a long-term move for the Chicago Bears. I know we're going to get a lot of hate in the comment section in today's video for having these opinions, but to me, there's not going to be another player like Micah Parsons for a long time, Bears fan. So like you mentioned earlier in the podcast, it does not hurt Ryan Poles and the Bears to pick up the phone and just ask. Maybe ask for a price and see where they're at in regards to actually trading Micah Parsons. Because once again, I think this relationship is now over between Parsons and the Cowboys.
If you look at this Bears team as a whole, there are two glaring weaknesses to me right now. And maybe it's just my opinion. Y'all let me know in the comments, and Keith, let me know.
Right.
Running back,
right.
Defensive end, pass rush, whatever. I am of the mindset right now that even though I would have loved that we would have drafted a running back earlier in the draft, that we are fine where we are with the running back room right now. Right. Where we are not fine right now is defensive pass rush. Right. I mean, yes, we went out and signed Dio Odangbo, but we don't really know what we're going to get from him.
Right.
Montez Sweat, you really don't know what you're going to get from him. I mean, on his best day, he's a B player, a B grade pass rusher. He's not an A tier. He's not Micah Parsons. He's not TJ Watt. He's not Trey Henderson. He's that next tier down.
Right.
So if you go out there and you get a Micah Parsons, that completely changes how this Bears defense looks. Not to mention Dennis Allen loves to run an attacking defense. And what player can better help you attack more right now than Micah Parsons? I mean, you want to talk about a defensive game changer. That is what Micah Parsons would be for the Chicago Bears. And you think about what he will give the Bears on defense, combined with all of the weaponry and the quarterback that the Bears have on the offense. The Bears would, I mean, Keith, this might be crazy because we're Bears fans, but if somehow, some way the Bears actually traded for Micah Parsons, I would almost go so far to say they would have to be the favorite in the NFC this year. The whole NFC, not the NFC North, the NFC, if they added Micah Parsons. That's just craziness.
Yeah, and a lot of people, make fun of us like, oh, you guys think you're winning. I think it would be true hype to add Micah Parsons to already the hype that you have with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and what you did to the offensive line. And to your point, Vibe, you made a really good point about, I think when you're looking at the edge rushing position and the running back room here in Chicago, it's more of the fact that we haven't seen it yet. Like with the running back room, I think, DeAndre Swift's looking nice, Kyle Monangai and Roschon Johnson, but there's just not a lot of experience there. And then same with Dio Odangbo. I think it was a good addition, but he's better on the inside, and he's not really known for high sack numbers or high sack totals. And same with Montez Sweat. We are looking for a true running mate for Montez Sweat, and I'm still not sure if Dio Odangbo is that guy. And I know they tied in a lot of money for Odangbo, but this move would really complete that defensive line. And you just think about the advantages of what Dennis Allen will be able to do with a guy like Micah Parsons, what that would mean for the secondary with Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon, how that would lead to more turnover opportunities. It would just be a really big move for the Chicago Bears to put us in a opportunity to win. And I would go as far as saying, yes, I think we would be the favorites in the NFC North, and it would make us also really competitive in the NFC as well.
Yeah, again, I know a lot of Bears fans are like, no, don't risk the draft picks and different things like that. But like Keith said earlier, who the hell are you going to draft that's going to equal in the value and impact of a Micah Parsons?
Yeah,
nobody. Right. Not this draft, the next draft, or the draft after that. So when you think about it that way, that at the very least, that has to get you just at the minimum considering Ryan Pope picking up the phone and giving Dallas a call.
Right. And like I said, there's been rumors saying that he's already called once. And if that is true, we all know that our GM likes to work late, and he's always going to be aggressive. Like it would be 3:00 in the morning and I get a buzz saying Ryan Poles and the Bears, it's crazy.
Phone's open.
You're right. The phone's on. Right. But before I let you guys go on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, something that I really do want to let you guys know, this was reported by Adam Schefter, just based on the compensation of what it would possibly look like. Adam Schefter said the potential trade comp for Micah Parsons when 27-year-old Khalil Mack was traded from Oakland to Chicago, the Bears gave up 2 first-round picks, a 3rd-round pick, and a 6th-round pick for Mack, and a 2nd-round pick and a conditional 5th-round pick. And obviously, a lot of people will say that, hey, Micah Parsons is better than Khalil Mack was when the Bears traded for him back in 2018. So I would imagine it would be multiple firsts, probably multiple seconds, and a lot more added to that in regard to late round picks for the Bears to land Micah Parsons. And then, of course, you have to pay the man as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, right now, the Bears talent, the roster, is stacked. They're stacked on offense. They're kind of stacked on defense. So I don't know if losing draft picks right now would be that big of a detriment for the Bears because their roster is so stacked. But we're still missing that impact player on defense like a Micah Parsons. So the opportunity's out there.
Right. So at the end of the day, Bears fans, it's all speculation. Micah Parsons did request a trade. Does it mean that he's going to be a Chicago Bear? Absolutely not. But I think as Bears fans, we can have these large pipe dreams that Micah Parsons will eventually be traded to Chicago. So let Vibe and I know down below in the comment sections if you want Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears actually to reach out to the Dallas Cowboys and try to make a trade for Micah Parsons. But Vibe, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of Kick on the Mic. I really appreciate you.
Man, I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, no worries at all. But as always, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms and make sure you share this episode of Kick on the Mic with every single Bears that you know. But other than that, be back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Kick on the Mic. Thanks, guys. And as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You can go and subscribe cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic.